Cameron,
Yeah.
if I told you a year from, if I told you a year ago that a year from that day, we would be sitting in our separate homes in the middle of a pandemic, distance recording because people can't fucking stay inside and have to go to the beach and keep making everything worse, would you believe me?
Um. No.
Yeah, me neither. Me
No.
neither.
We're all
I'd
on
be
the
like,
same page in that regard.
don't rain on my parade. We'll deal with that later.
Yeah,
Fucking
we
whatever.
cross that fucking bridge when we get there.
Yeah, now we're
But
at
no,
that bridge.
yeah, and here we are. Who knew? Who knew that we'd be at this bridge? I certainly did not.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah.
But happy 1 year of Chill Spot.
Yeah, one full year, 48th episode.
Yeah,
1 full year of Chill Spot podcasts.
yeah.
Um it goes to show that we missed at least 4 weeks.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, how are we at 1 year and this is episode 40 something? I don't. But yeah. Well, I guess I don't know. We started Chill Spot, but we didn't start releasing podcasts immediately or something. I don't know. It doesn't fucking matter. It's been a year since we sat down and told everybody that we're doing a YouTube channel / podcast. And yes, we're millennials and don't have great jobs, so we're barking up this tree and
Yeah. I love how candid we are about it. It's like, oh, come watch our stuff. We're not famous or talented or good at all, but here we are.
No, it's quite the contrary. We started this because we're talented and good, and we want people to know that. And I just got sick of people not knowing that. So
yeah,
this is
we
how
gotta
you know.
take life into our own hands, grabbed by the fucking reins.
This is how you let people know. You start a podcast.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, Sam,
Yep.
how pandemic aside, and I truly mean pandemic aside, how has this first year of doing YouTube videos been for you?
I gotta be honest. Of course, it's been so cool. I'm really, and there have been so many times over the past year where I've been so creatively frustrated that I don't know how I'm gonna go on.
Right.
a lot of artists get to at points in their careers.
Absolutely.
So I'm so grateful for this outlet that we created. I can say no matter what, fucking Wednesday night comes along, I'm going to Cam's, we're fucking recording Chill Spot, and it's gonna feel good to just do something that feels like forward motion, that's really
Totally.
great. But it's also difficult. I don't really like playing by anybody else's rules, and I've sort of had to. I'm still grappling with this a little bit. Just the sheer amount of shameless self-promoting that I've had to get used to just doing, and I'm still not super used to it. I don't talk about the channel when I'm talking to artistic professionals, the rare times that I'm around them, if I'm seeing a player and they ask me what I'm doing or something like that. Sometimes I find it hard to be yeah, I have a podcast with my boyfriend.
Yeah.
Fucking
Mm-hmm.
it's something that I gotta get over, but there's so much hate for podcasts and having a YouTube channel out there,
especially in artistic circles.
Yeah, that I just sometimes I have a hard time. I just don't know how to spin it, I don't know, because I truly feel we are way more serious about this. Okay, so there was this kid who used to work at my store, and he had a YouTube channel, but his YouTube channel was just him standing in line with his friends at Cineplex for 14 minutes while he waited to get fucking the latest Fast and the Furious movie tickets. That's literally
it was a vlogging channel.
Yeah, exactly. And unfortunately I heard that that got picked up.
My chair?
Sure. Sure. Yeah, okay. Yeah, your chair is what okay, sure.
No, it's funny because I ripped a real fart and it didn't get heard, and now I moved the chair and it makes that noise. So it's wow.
Yeah, sure. Okay. All right.
I genuinely wish you heard the real fart.
Yeah. that was the fake fart. Absolutely. But yeah, no, like he is like sort of a laughing stock because like
You're gonna fucking string this guy out to dry? I'm sure
man,
he's fine.
he sucked. He sucked. Like
Oh, okay.
he he had a crush on a couple of girls who worked at the store, and he like bothered them in like a very
Oh,
not cool way. I don't want to like air
yeah.
out 100% of the laundry, but
No,
like
no, no. What's his address? Let's
he was
dox him.
he was like harassing some of the like girls at the store, and I do mean girls. Like they like I work with a bunch of high schoolers, so like young girls. I mean, he was also their age.
Yeah,
But
he's a 45-year-old man.
ugh. Hey man, like that's a problem too.
It is.
Which like, oh god, my store is just waiting to have a Me Too moment. It's just a Me Too moment, waiting and waiting and waiting. But
Talk about self-promotion, year of the channel.
Yeah, like his YouTube channel. When people found out about that, they were like, "Why would you like? And why would you start a YouTube channel? Like you're fucking loser." And I was like, "Yeah." Such a loser.
Stupid.
And ever since then, I've just been like really, really trying to get my script figured out as to like how I bring up that I have a YouTube channel / podcast in conversation. Because obviously we're more serious about it than that guy, you know? Like we sink money and time and we plan content and we give a shit, you know? Mm-hmm. And like, yeah, like YouTubing and making podcasts is a very saturated market. Like we don't really need any more podcasts in this world. But
fuck that.
But like there is a difference, and you can tell when somebody gives a shit about the podcast that they're making and when they don't, when they're just, you know, like, I have opinions, so let's buy a fucking Yeti and like just start a podcast, whatever.
Yeah, really, yeah.
You know, like there's a difference. And I think I really do believe like that we are that difference. I mean, like we've been doing this for a year and there were so many, just like the technical difficulties alone of like setting up the equipment and like finding the space to do it in is enough to make you just say, actually, I'm not that into this. I don't really want to do this that badly. So, and then you like sit and you like let your Yeti collect dust for like 40 years. But we're so not that. And I'm really, really proud of that. I love I'm proud that, you know, of the person that I started it with, you. Like, I'm proud that I've found a creative partner who is on the same wavelength with me about how seriously we want to take this, because so many, you know, boyfriends and girlfriends and best friends, they get together and they're like, we should start a podcast, and then like you never fucking do, or like one person is clearly more into it than the other and it shows. But it's super exciting to be doing this with someone who's like takes it just as seriously, if not more. You probably take this more seriously than I do, and I think I take this pretty seriously.
I don't know how to measure that, but you know, I think like, we're pretty.
Just because like you edit all of the videos, I don't edit the videos, and podcasts, you edit everything, and like you sent me like 5 Snapchats last night of like a bunch of like cool lights that you bought for the space for the fort to make it like vibey and cool and shit like that. Like you really give a shit about this stuff. So I appreciate, and I do too. That. But like just the literal actions that you take to make this work has been like great. You figured out. I kicked your ass to be like, hey, get us on Apple Podcasts. Like, it's about time. And like, hey, figure out Twitch stream. But you're the one who actually like sat down and did it. I was the one who was like, hey, I don't have the rig like at my house. Right. I can't do this shit. So you got to do it. And then you did it.
Yeah, you know, I mean, because something that's been really nice about learning how to do YouTube channel stuff and properly make good videos, because that's something like, and I'm sure you'll echo this sentiment as well, like you just said, and you've just been saying, we do want to take this seriously, you know. I grew up on YouTube videos, like ever since I was young. I still like YouTube. There's a bunch of YouTubers I follow and watch all the time. And I really, really am interested in making that kind of content. And the best part about YouTube is that all of the content you make is centered around things that you like.
Yeah.
like for the podcast, it's us and our discussions and our relationship in a way,
Mm-hmm.
but then the let's plays are video games, and
Mm-hmm.
we're it's not out yet, but we're working on other podcasts focused on other interests and stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
that's really exciting. But
Mm-hmm.
something the most enlightening part about doing Chill Spot for the full 365 days now has been learning how to edit and learning how to make things sound nice, and
Mm-hmm.
learning how to work with what you got,
Mm-hmm.
because we don't have like super state of the art equipment or even like a
Yeah.
super solidified recording space. I'm sitting here in
Mm-hmm.
my parents' basement surrounded by blankets.
Hmm.
But at the same time, that's just what we know. Like even at UW, where we both went to school, a big part of the teaching there was to like how to jerry rig shit to like work properly and how to like get a desired effect. And it doesn't necessarily need to be clean; it just needs to work.
Yeah.
And that's been really cool. I've been loving learning about soundboards and audio quality stuff, and I've been loving learning how to video edit and learning how to Twitch stream. And like I've always been interested in the tech side of things as well as being an entertainer. But like I guess what I'm going into with this year of Chill Spot is that I expected Chill Spot because we went into this wanting it to be something we do for fun. Like it's always going to be fun, but
Mm-hmm.
I didn't expect going into Chill Spot that I would find uh, so many different ways or so many different things about myself that I'm genuinely interested in.
Mm-hmm.
And it sort of set me down a road that I didn't know that I wanted to go down. But now that I'm on it, it's one of those things where like I don't think I want to do anything else. And for a long time, I thought I wanted to do one thing, but now it's
Mm-hmm.
becoming very multifaceted, and I'm happy about that.
That's really cool. I'm glad
Hmm.
that you've like discovered, because yeah, like when we first met, it was all about acting. We were like, we're actors. We want to
Yeah.
act. We even started this channel as a sort of like self promo to be like, hey, we are actors. We're trying to
Hmm.
be actors. If you like
I'm
our
still there,
voices, if you like our
Yeah.
voices and the characters that we sort of like, you know, project on the channel, like wait until you see us in a rehearsal room. And yeah, you're right. Like we do want to do that still. But in getting into this and taking it so seriously, like you started taking voice acting lessons, so like you
Yeah.
really got into that. And like yeah, like you said, like the tech side of things, like learning how to edit and work with like sound and stuff like that. I mean, like video editing and like sound engineering is a whole, they're both fields. Like you, that's a whole thing that you can do. There are
Absolutely.
editors and there are sound engineers. So yeah, that's super cool that that you've discovered that too. It's also it's so interesting to me because I was thinking, and broadcasting is in my blood. My dad works in radio. He works for
Yeah.
Sirius XM.
That's
And
right.
I grew up, and he worked for like local news stations around town when my parents were together, and he was living in KW with me.
Yeah.
And I grew up like seeing him on TV. Like one of my parents' favorite stories to tell about me as a kid, like I was like a baby and my mom was just like doing stuff around the house and my dad was out at work, and he came home from work, and I was sat in front of the TV while my mom was doing stuff, and like I was watching my dad on TV like doing a story. And then he came in the door, and my like kid brain that didn't fully understand object permanence like looked at the
Yeah.
TV, and then I like looked at my dad in the door, and then I looked at the TV, and then I looked at my dad,
What the fuck is going
and I
on
was
here?
like, "But you exist in the box. Get back in the box. What are you doing? You're in the box. How are you here?"
Aren't you needed?
Yeah. And when I got a little bit older, like still a kid, like like 7, 8, 9, 10, I had like a Fisher Price like cassette player thing, and it came with a little shitty microphone attached to it, and you can like record stuff
Yeah.
on it. So I used to like get together with my friends, and we would like do little radio shows. I've been podcasting since before it was a thing. I just is what I'm getting at here.
Way to turn it. Way to take that whole really nice thing and then turn it and be like, yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm the fucking best.
No, I'm not saying I'm the best. I'm just saying like this is something that I've always kind of wanted to do. I've always
Yeah.
liked the idea of like being a radio DJ or like a
Or yeah,
jockey or something like that.
an on air personality. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like it never really turned into something that I wanted to like make into a career because I saw what my dad has gone through in his career to get to where he is,
Of
and I was
course,
just like, nah, I don't want to do all that.
it's a lot of
Um,
work, and
but
you
like
know.
podcasting didn't exist, and the sort of like DIY version of it didn't. It wasn't even a thing when I decided like, nah, like broadcasting's not worth it. But now I
Yeah,
kind of get to like live out that dream, and like now, like I think about um Kid Sam walking around with her little Fisher Price recording
little
cassette tape
microphone.
player
Yeah,
thing,
so
asking
cute.
her friends what their favorite ice cream flavor was, and it's like it's kind of cool that you know kind of like a full circle moment thing happened for me that I'm like
Yeah,
essentially doing that now.
I think we made a lot of discoveries in this last year. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
because something that's the I mean, we've known this for a long time, but the painful truth about being an artist is that you can't just be one. You know,
Yes. Now, right now, no,
yeah,
you
right
can't.
now, like I can't, literally cannot. I'm sure there's people out there who would tell me I'm a liar and look me in the face and say yes, he can. But the reality is that I can't just be an actor. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not good enough to just be an actor. I can't
It's
just
that no,
like.
it's you know what? It's honestly not about like good enough. It's completely circumstantial. Like it
Mhm.
is expensive to just be an actor
Yeah.
because you have to you have to get enough you have to be getting enough work to justify that. And it's actually a very small percentage of people who get enough work
Mhm.
to be able to do that. And like that getting enough
Yeah.
work is a combination of like yeah, like hustle and talent and all of that stuff. But it's also like, are you lucky enough to have like an agent who cares about you and like doesn't have a super full roster and can
Yeah.
pay enough attention to you to really like nurture your career? Who do you know? How did you get to know those people? Is it right place, right time? So often it is. It's like pure dumb luck.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of shit, and I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying like
But you got to be logistical about it. You got to be logical about it.
yeah,
You know,
exactly. You also have
like
to take like location into it, you know, like where do
yeah.
you live? Do you live near an artistic hub like Toronto or New York? Like if you
Mhm.
don't, then like that's
You're
something else
SOL pretty much.
that's
Yeah.
another obstacle. You know, like I kind of turned to podcasting because you can, and like this pandemic has proved that you can do it from anywhere. Um
Yeah.
and like get it out there from anywhere. So that was sort of, you know, I need that help. I do. This actor
Yeah.
does at least. So
Well,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, where I was going with that though is like, you know, with this first year of, you know, journeying into this idea, and I kind of touched on this before too, but it's important to be multifaceted and it's important to have lots of skills. You
Yeah.
know, it's important to be good at more than one thing
Yeah.
because even though I want to be an actor and I'm still on that road, um, it's not like that's the only way I'm going to be making money because that's just not
Yeah.
logical. You
Yeah.
know, we live in a gig economy where you need to be good at multiple things, and then
Yeah.
one week I might be doing editing for something, the other week I might be doing voiceover, the other week I might be on stage. Who knows, right? Like
Mhm.
I don't know, but
Mhm.
that's sort of where I
Mhm.
see my trajectory. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. It also helps that like all of my heroes are multifaceted. Like they're multi
Mm-hmm.
hyphenates. Issa Rae, Mindy Kaling, you know, like Matt and Karen from Greenlight Arts. They all do a bunch of different stuff. Like a
Yeah.
bunch of different stuff. So, and not all of it is like completely arts related. Like Karen's a yoga instructor on the side as well. So, like
Mm-hmm. She's very good at it.
she has that. Oh, she's the best. She's
Yeah,
so
Karen
cool.
once. I remember we did that week long. I'm blanking on the name, but
Oh,
it was
the intensive, the sandbox, whatever.
yeah, it was like a theater
Yeah.
intensive where we worked with Matt and Karen on some stuff, and it was really good.
Yeah.
Really learned a lot. But there was one day where Karen came in and did yoga with us, and
Yeah.
yeah, for those who don't know, because we don't really do video, I'm not like in super great shape.
Mm.
A pretty big guy, so that yoga really like grabbed me by the ankle and slapped me on the floor. You know,
Kicked
like
you in the
they
ass.
beat the shit out of me.
Aw.
Well, I mean, it wasn't like unbearable. It was one of those things where it's like the best part about exercise as opposed to normal pain is that like if I hurt myself and I'm like, oh god, that hurts. When it goes away, you're like, ah, fuck, like it's just like it hurts. It hurts
Mhm.
still, even though it doesn't hurt right now. But with exercise, I always feel good afterwards, even if I'm tired or dead. So it's
Yeah,
like,
you're like, I did that.
yeah, it was dying for the sake of my body, which is a good thing, you know.
Yeah. And well, and yoga's also about like practice too, right? Like you do have to do it regularly. People dedicate time to just doing like getting better at one pose, you know? So,
Well, yeah, it's a form of exercise, form of meditation, form of
yeah.
spirituality.
Yeah.
I
Well, you
I have a
can't you
lot of
just
respect for
can't you
yoga.
simply can't measure it against some you can't measure your like ability at yoga to like someone who's been doing it for years and stuff
Well, yeah, no, where I was going,
because it
like what
is
I
a
meant.
practice.
Yeah, so like I was trying to say, like I'm not trying to say like, oh, I thought it was gonna be easy. I'm saying like I respect the fact that it's like exercise. You know,
Yeah.
it's not easy to do.
No. Definitely not. But yeah, no, that's sort of this channel has made me think about a lot um
Hmm.
over the year as I try and start the rest of my life.
Yeah, really.
But it's been nice because even like, you know, even when I don't know where I'm going, I'm like, well, I have chill spot, you know.
Yeah,
We
we can always
created
just put
that
our
for
eggs in this
ourselves.
basket. We
Yeah.
have this for ourselves, you know, and
I feel good about that.
can be going for it. And you know, that's just it, right? Like obviously we're still a ways off from this, but as we learn more about our creative fields and ways to get out there and do stuff, like we're hoping that in the well, it was going to be this year before COVID happened, but hopefully next year or the year after that, like we'll be no longer at our part-time jobs, you know.
Oh
But
god.
do I think that I'll be doing chill spot stuff full time? No, but I maybe think that I might be doing something else full time. And chill
Mhm.
spots, as long as I'm growing from a creative and career standpoint, so will the channel, you know.
Mhm.
And that's sort of where I sit with that. Like if you know, if for somehow we supersede my whole life and this channel becomes something that I really can do full time, like that would be amazing. And
Oh
I
man,
would
I would kiss everybody that I saw
I
on the
relish at
street.
the opportunity for that, right? Like it would be fucking
That
fantastic.
actually that actually makes me super excited if we could like turn Chill Spot into a full-time job that generates enough income for us to support ourselves off of, and it's like something that
Hmm.
we created ourselves for ourselves and we're generating income off of it. I would give blowjobs to everybody if I could do that.
Well, I don't, well,
Yeah. No. You're gonna
everyone's
have
getting a
to
blowjob.
yeah. And by
Sam,
blowjob, I mean a firm and friendly handshake.
yeah, is
With
that what you mean?
hands, with your hand and my hand for 2 seconds, and then we release hands and then go
No,
our separate ways.
you can't even do that anymore. You got to do elbows. You got to fucking just
Yeah.
elbow tap
Yeah.
each other.
Yeah. Are we ever gonna shake
Handshakes.
hands again? Is anybody ever gonna I mean like
I'm sure we
I
will.
fucking tried. I tried with handshakes, man. I tried to like always have a firm handshake and like every man
Hmm.
that I ever shook hands with, like whether it was like professional or in like a personal sense, I would like shake his hand and like look him in the eye and like hang on to it. And he would grip my
Yeah.
hand. I would grip his hand back. I was just
It's
like,
like, please let go.
ah,
Please don't kill me.
ah, don't fuck with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then like I would meet and I should, you know, like this is just my experience. This is what happened. I would like shake hands with like an older woman and I would just fucking crush her hand.
Yeah.
Because my
Oh
first
my
instinct is to have
god.
like a firm. I crushed a couple pinkies and index fingers together in my lifetime. I've
Yeah.
definitely done it.
I'm sure that you would have liked to crush some old lady's hands, especially after working your job, just in
It didn't
general.
feel
Like
good. It didn't feel good. Yeah.
you didn't feel
There
good
are. I
crippling an
also
old
shook
woman.
hands with women who also had firm handshakes.
Yeah.
Like don't get me wrong, like there was a mix between, you know, genders, not that there's just two of them, but like in my
Hmm.
experience, like that's what's what. um but yeah, like whenever I
Yeah.
would see like
It's
an older dude and like I knew that a handshake was coming, I was like, oh, I'm fucking ready. I'm
yeah.
ready. I'm
I'm
gonna
gonna
crush
shake
your
your
fucking
fucking hand.
hand. I'm gonna
I'll
crush your
kill you right
hand.
here.
I'll
That's one
do
of
it.
those
Kill you
things
where I
that I think
stand.
like that's one of those things where I think that I'm like a little bit more old fashioned on, you know, where it's like, am I
No,
gonna miss handshaking?
I appreciate a firm handshake.
Yeah. So am I gonna miss handshaking when we can't anymore?
Yeah.
No, I guess not. But at the same time, I do think, like you just said, it's important. You know, you have to make a good first impression, and
Mm-hmm.
even if you don't believe in a good handshake, there are millions of people that do. So it's one of those things
Yeah.
where it's like, you could give a fucking lip noodle handshake if you don't give a fuck, but then understand the impression you're giving other people.
Yeah.
You know,
That's a first.
like
That is a first impression that you're making.
you
Period.
know, like believe you me, like I haven't done it in ages, right? But you know, I work at the store I work at, and
Yeah.
I'm a key holder, so I'm there a lot, and often get resumes. And
Yeah.
as what are you doing, by the way?
I'm so not okay with the angle that my phone is at there.
Yeah, we video chat, and if you don't know, well, we podcast separately now because it's
Yeah.
easier than just staring at the wall
Well,
like Wilson
yeah.
Fisk.
Yeah.
You know, just like
Like
going,
Wilson Fisk.
just
What a
going fucking
reference.
crazy.
What
Yeah,
a reference.
shout out to Daredevil season
Shout out
1.
to Daredevil season 1. Shadow in the Glass. Some of the best fucking TV I've ever seen in my life. It was so good. I didn't watch the rest of the season. I still haven't finished Daredevil. I get fucked up when I think about it.
Yeah, man. I don't know. That's a whole. We can talk about Marvel shows in just a second. How that's a tragedy. The way that ended up being the way it is. But
Yeah, truly.
what were we just talking about before you
We're
started
talking
moving the camera?
about handshakes.
That's right. So
Yeah.
we get like some teenage, like you know, this is such a tough balance, right? And I'll get into why in just a second. But we get a lot of like teenagers who come into the store who are like, "Give me your resume," and I'm like, "Cool, buddy. Like, what's your availability?" And sometimes they don't even have an answer for that. But I'll be like, "Okay, cool," and write it down, and then I'll shake their hands. And sometimes you get like little like
Yeah.
you
Like a
shit.
like a weird sweaty clammy handshake.
Yeah, like weird little bone,
Yeah,
but it's
little-
also really soft hand.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. And it's
Your
like
kid hands feel like they've been inside of a croc sandal for like 48 hours, and they're all
wrinkly
weird and
fingers
sweaty.
for some reason. You're like,
Yeah.
why is your hand so wet?
What has puberty done to you? Holy shit. Get it together.
But regardless, all of the people who have like good initiative, who like came into the store and like look me in the eye and have like a great resume and like talk to me and like ask good questions, they always have dope handshakes. Always. But the people who come in who are like hunched over and like not looking at me, who have like headphones in, who have like a fucking resume written in crayon, are like always have like it's always the
their
people
mom is
with
like
the
parked
shittiest
in the
handshake.
RAV4 out front waiting for them to like
Exactly.
do it. Their mom
Hire
was
my
like,
son.
You're gonna
Hire him.
apply for a job today. You're gonna apply for a fucking job today. And then they get out with like their little shitty like MS Paint resume.
Your little fucking flaccid penis handshake. Like, I don't give a fuck about this, man. But
I told you about the resume I received once that had clip art on it, right?
you did. Yeah. I think that's actually that's an early
I
podcast episode.
I can't believe somebody let their kid do that. Like, did you show this to
what
no
parent
one?
in the right mind? We all did civics and careers, guys.
Yeah.
We all went through high school.
Yeah.
Like you know that you need to not do this.
Yeah.
Come on.
That's like the one useful thing that civics and careers does tell you is like what not to put on a resume. They certainly don't tell you what to put on a resume, but they at least can tell you what not to put on one. And clip art is like the number one bold underlined thing.
You want to not get a job? Put clip art on your resume.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No employer is going to think this is cute. But but a point that I want to make, and I realize that this is an internal struggle within myself, is that like now that I'm an adult, you know, I'm 25, an adult, still young, but regardless, I'm no longer in the teens. Yeah. I have a really bad habit of like seeing a shitty teenager and then being like, fucking teenagers. Like just like fucking teenagers.
Can't.
But then I remember I have to remind myself that this is one teenager.
Yeah.
And there are billions of teenagers. Yeah. And on the whole, most of them are good. But there are so many things where it's like, but you know what gets me, and the where I'm going with this is like, if like a 16-year-old or 17-year-old, whenever you can finally get a job, and you come to the store and you give me a resume and you shake my hand with a limp fucking dick handshake, and you're with your mom, and then you browse around the store and buy stuff, and like it's like in my head, I'm like, I was your age, and I knew not to do this.
You're like I must have known not to do this.
Be better, like be better than me, and I'm not that much better. You know, just like it's so easy to even like facade yourself. You don't need to fucking be this all the time, but like once you get your foot in the door, you just gotta get your foot in the door. And yeah. So anyway, I have to remind myself not to be such a fucking old man sometimes,
I know.
and like give
I
the kids a
know.
break.
I know. I'm a bit of a crotchety old maid.
Mm.
I dogged myself the other day. I talked about it on the stream that we did last night where I like I tried to be like cool and hip with the kids and I was like, "Oh
Push out the
yeah,
adjustment
like
for that.
this fucking TikTok influencer that like dated Tana Mongeau that lives in town," and they were like, "Who the
Oh
fuck are you
yeah.
talking about?" And I was like, "Damn it! I thought we were gonna connect. I thought that
Oh
we were
man.
gonna be cool." And then another time that I fucked myself over, I was this was like last month when it was like getting warmer but still kind of chilly, and I wanted to find a way that I could like be warm without having to carry a coat with me because sometimes it gets warmer as the day goes on and I just like didn't want to have a coat on
Totally.
me. And I saw that a handful of the kids, particularly the boys, at the store, uh, do this thing where they put a hoodie on underneath their work t-shirt, like their uniform t-shirt,
Oh yeah.
and have like the hood sticking out. So
That's pretty clever.
I did that one day and I looked ridiculous and never doing it again. And
You
then
probably look like a 14-year-old. Like you look like someone who's
I just
26 trying to look like they
yeah.
were in their
Yeah.
teens.
Yeah, literally, yes. And later on I was watching, there's this YouTuber that I really like named Curtis Connor who's like really funny.
Yeah, Curtis Connor is pretty funny.
And he did a video about e-boys, like
Oh
TikTok
yeah.
e-boys, which are basically, for those who don't know, are like these young boys on TikTok who do nothing but be hot. Like
Yeah, yeah.
they look into a camera and like their hair is parted down the center and like they do this weird thing where they like tap their temple and like roll their eyes into the back of their head.
Yeah.
Um and it's supposed to be hot, I guess. I don't know. It's ridiculous, but
Fucking kids, man.
a defining trait. Hey, we all had our shit, right?
Yeah, no,
A
I know.
defining trait of like how to identify an e-boy is they wear the fucking hoodies underneath t-shirts. That's what they do. They
Oh,
have like long sleeve
oh my
t-shirts
god.
underneath t-shirts or like hoodies underneath t-shirts. And I was like, shit!
You
I went to work dressed like an e-boy.
you put on their fucking uniform.
Oh
you put on
no!
their goddamn uniform. You had your friends and employees looking at Sam, be like, "Is Sam on TikTok?" Like,
I was just trying to be warm. I was just trying to be warm, and I didn't want to carry a coat on me, so I did it. And I went to work dressed like an e-boy. I did it.
That has to be an episode of The Shift, I think, if you wanted to like include that in some way.
Yeah. I try and be like cool with a teenager. I just like, man, I think I've said this before, but like when I was a teenager, I like being an only child, I spent a lot of time with adults and like having to listen to adults criticize adolescent culture, whatever it is at the time, is the most frustrating thing. Because it's like, you don't get it because you're not a part of my culture, you know? I can't just go to Japan as someone who's never been or lived in Japan ever and like understand it right away, you know? Like
Excuse me, can I get a fork and
learning
knife?
about it. I haven't spent any time around Japanese people. I haven't like spent any time learning Japanese culture. So like if I were to sit here and be like, oh, it's so fucking weird how they dress. It's so weird what they eat. It's so blah, blah, blah. It's so weird how they talk. Like, that would be so ignorant. So I used to hate it when adults would be like, like, teenagers, blah, why do you do this? Why do you like this? Why do you watch this? Why do you listen to this type of music? And I swore to myself that I would never be so callous and like out of touch, you know? I didn't want to like I understood that I would get older and I would age out of things and that, you know, the next generation would come through and there would be a whole new demographic of stuff that they're into. But I always wanted to be like tuned into it a little bit, at least. I like not obsessed with it because that's when you kind of just get into nostalgia territory and you just kind of look like a fart joke grandpa trying to be cool with the kids.
You look like that like hello fellow kids meme, you know? You're just like
exactly. But I always wanted to like give a bit of a shit about what kids are into and like because it's also you look at what kids are into and you get a feel for like how they're processing the world around you. And the older I get, the more I
it's interesting.
realize that I'm actually kind of responsible. Like my actions, how I do things, like how I vote, or how I, like if I want to be an artist, the art that I put out into the world is going to affect the culture, and that's going to affect teenagers who don't really have that much of a say in how their world operates. So I
Yeah.
always wanted to be kind of in touch with what kids are caring about and why, and how they express their feelings about those things, because I never wanted to be one of those adults who are just like, oh, I just don't understand why the blah. Like I
Yeah.
just never wanted to get out of touch like that, because I think that's super callous and
Absolutely.
frustrating.
Yeah.
And also, like, kids are gonna change the fucking world. Like I wasn't out there, like climate striking and leaving school in the middle of the day for
Yeah.
climate change when I
Huge
was
respect.
16.
Yeah.
But Gen Z is fucking doing that. So like,
Oh yeah.
yeah, they have e-boys. It's fucking weird, but like this generation is so much more aware of the bullshit that is going on,
Oh,
that they're
they're for
walking
sure.
into as they approach, young adulthood, their 20s. Um and I just think it's worth it to look at their culture and what they're into and what that means,
Yeah.
for like how their worldview is sort of like shaped,
Especially because as they grow, their culture that we don't understand, quote unquote, don't understand, is going to eventually become the world culture, because that's how that works.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
that's why you see like old geriatric people being like, "Oh, I don't understand the world anymore, and I hate it so goddamn much."
yeah.
It's like
Because all you ever
it's
did
because
was care about your world and your culture
exactly.
as you got
I
older.
miss when I could cook a whole meal in 20 seconds in the microwave, and then it's like you eat like
Yeah,
a horrible little like hungry man's dinner, and that's like, oh,
yeah,
Sunday eating, and it's like, no, it's like
yeah,
the world has fucking changed, lady. You
yeah,
goddamn 100 fucking years old.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah,
but see, something important though, and I think to tack on what you're saying is that like I feel the same way. We got to respect the kids, and you got to understand that the kids gonna be kids, and you gotta
yeah.
let and when I say kids, I mean to people younger than I am. You could be
They are
19, I'll
wrong
call
about
you a
some
fucking
things,
kid.
though. They are.
Yeah,
But like,
and that's a given. But
older
we're wrong about lots of shit too.
we're
Like,
wrong. We're right and wrong about some shit. Even like baby boomers, as frustrated as I am by them oftentimes,
oh yeah,
they're right about some things and they're wrong about some things. Every
yeah,
generation fucking is like,
100%. And
it's whatever.
yeah,
And like, we can't be ageist and just like completely denote
yeah,
what any person of any generation is saying just because of their age. It's
right.
just it's stupid. Some of them can get fucked, but like, it's worth it to look into the context of things and parse whether or not you're going
Right.
to listen to somebody.
And where I was going with that is that like you could respect the culture of Gen Zs and not understand it. Like I'm not tuned in.
Yeah,
I don't have TikTok. I don't follow any influencers.
yeah,
I don't listen to new hip hop or new rap unless
yeah.
it's the artist that I like.
Hmm.
And
The like
uh
2 or 3 artists that I
that
like
are
that Gen Z
that are
also
still
likes.
making music. But no, I mean like even rappers, right? Like, but at the same time, yeah, I don't know these things, but when I hear them, like Billie Eilish is a good example. I hear Billie Eilish and I'll be like,
Yeah,
yeah, like this doesn't quite tickle me in the way that it tickles others, but whatever. Who
yeah,
cares?
exactly. I'm
There
like,
are
what? I don't want to
billions
sit
of
and
people
listen
who
to a
like
whole
her.
album, but I get it.
Yeah.
You know.
And that's all you need to do, people at home. That's all you got to do. You just got
Hmm.
to be respectful of other people's stuff, because if you're not, then you breed animosity, and that
Yeah,
animosity will infect your whole life,
yeah, yeah.
Um I saw this great
So if
tweet
you're
that
out
was
here
like,
making fun of 20 somethings with podcasts, maybe get a clue, loser.
yeah, start a
Get off
fucking
my
podcast.
back.
Yeah.
Get off my back.
I saw this great tweet today or the other day that was like, Gen Zers out here too afraid to ask for extra ketchup, but will body
Yeah.
slam a police officer.
Yeah,
Like,
literally.
no. So I
Yeah,
have a ton of respect for young folks, especially in terms of
totally.
activism, because
Yeah.
I think our generation was the one that started being. Well, that's not entirely true, but for sake of the podcast, because we're not authorities, don't listen to what I'm saying. But our generation was the one that started being really outspoken about bullshit and about being like, hey, this is wrong, this is bad, it has to change. But in a criticism I'll give to the millennial generation is that talking is nice,
Yeah.
but actions are needed.
Yeah.
Like, you need
Yeah.
to take action. And I'm guilty of this too. I'm not out here trying to be, you know the first activist with a torch, like marching on Parliament, right? Like, but at the same
I've
time,
been to one protest. Like,
yeah,
that's
exactly.
not, you know.
Believe you me, I and by extension us, like we're a part of this problem, and I'm acknowledging that. But something I
Mhm.
really love about the Gen Zers is they're like, fuck that. Talking is nice, but we got to go kick
Mhm.
some teeth. We have to get
Mhm.
out on the street and
Mhm.
really shake this tree
Mhm.
because I feel as though millennials were like tapping the tree, like, come
Yeah.
on, do
Yeah.
it. But then Gen Zers rolled up with an axe, and they're like, "You want to chop
Yeah.
this fucking tree down?"
Yeah. Yeah. Let's take this
You
fucking
know.
tree down. Yeah,
And I
absolutely.
and I respect them so much for that. Like I think that's a really
Absolutely.
beautiful thing,
Yeah. No,
even
the
if they do
kids
give
are
shit
indeed
handshakes sometimes.
overall I think the kids are all right. I really do.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I have faith.
Yeah.
Absolutely, Oprah.
Speaking of young people, I was watching an episode of Broad City before we started recording today.
Yay! I finished
Um,
Avatar for the
I
for
know.
the for the pod. So, I mean, you know, because I was like, holy shit. But
Yeah, yeah.
I finished Avatar. But yeah, you were watching Broad City.
I'm almost done season 3. The last 2 episodes that I watched recently, because I'll be honest, I haven't been very good. Because that's first things first. I have a frequency to or a tendency to just fucking tell 3 stories at the same time.
Yeah.
So um, I'm on near the end of season 3 of Broad City. I got to the episode where Lincoln breaks up with Alana,
Okay.
and breaks up with Alana, and then
Yeah.
like they don't want to be friends anymore, and it
Yeah.
affects her. And then
Mm-hmm.
Abby starts fucking Trey, and then they go on that really awkward date where Abby tries to break up with Trey, but
Yeah.
Trey wants to date. But then Alana's
Yeah.
parents are celebrating their and it's
In
a
the
whole
same
thing.
restaurant, yeah, and Abby does the whole like two places at once thing.
Yeah, but she gets too
Yeah.
hammered. It's really good. It's really good. And then the most recent episode I watched was them going to Israel. Is getting on the plane
Yeah.
going to Israel. Now is
Jews,
season
Jews,
4?
Jews,
Yeah,
Jews, Jews.
that was really funny. I really
Yeah.
appreciated that. Well, it's funny,
Yeah.
right? Because there's a general like I think that Broad City does a pretty good job of showing the systemic nature of anti-Semitism.
Mm-hmm.
Because Abby and Alana, who like I mean, at least in my opinion, aren't obviously Jewish people. Like, yeah, I think they're I don't even want to make assumptions of
I was gonna say, don't
heritage or nationality they
go
are.
there. Yeah.
I'm not even going to touch that. But at the same time, like you think about the stereotypes of what a quote unquote like I don't even know what I'm trying to say. It's like they get called Jews and like get insulted for being Jewish people, but it's like, how the fuck do you even know that? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Over the years, there's been like selected media where like TV shows and movies specifically, where someone will like tell someone their last name and they'll be like, "Oh, Jewish," and I'm like, how do you know?
Yeah, yeah, really.
What are Jewish last names? What are like the top 5 Jewish last names? I know that like anything that ends in Berg, and I literally learned this because I watched enough TV where somebody's last name ended in Berg, and they were like, "Oh, Jewish," or like there was like Jewish culture around somebody with the last name something Berg. But how do you know? I
Yeah,
don't know. I know like the anti-Semitic like physical traits that like make people think that someone is Jewish, but like I don't like I hear that those are like stereotypical traits, so I completely disregard them because I'm like, oh,
yeah,
okay, well, like anti-Semites think that makes people Jewish, so like I'm not gonna think that. I'm
exactly.
not gonna
But
adopt that. So
the
like I don't
example,
fucking know what a Jewish person looks like or what a Jewish last name is. I have no idea. Also, you could just have
mhm,
a last name with the last name of Berg and like not be Jewish. I have a friend
yeah,
who's Jewish and like her name doesn't sound anything like fucking a Jewish name at all, and you would not think that she's Jewish by looking at her.
yeah.
Like
But
I
but
don't
in
know.
Broad City, I find that they do lots of examples of how like anti-Semitism can peek through, even
Mm-hmm.
if someone isn't obviously Jewish. And there is this part in the most recent episode when they're trying to get on the plane where they're really late for the gate and they're running and they see
Mm-hmm.
the worker closing the door and Abby or Alana takes her sandal off and throws it and it hits her in the head. And they had this whole funny exchange where she's like, I was just trying to get my shoe in the door. And then she's like, "You're a dumb bitch. First of all, it's foot in the door, and second of all, you hit me." And then they were getting on the plane, and then the woman who got hit, she goes, "You guys are lucky fucking Jews." And I was like, watching it like, how the fuck do you know that they're Jewish? But then
Well,
it's
yeah.
because they're getting on the plane, and then it turned
Yeah.
out they were going to Israel. So I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I
Yeah.
see,
There
I
it's
see.
literally it's a birthright flight. Like the whole
Yeah,
plane is just like Jewish people going on their birthright trip.
and that's obviously like one example. But yeah, there's
Yeah.
lots of that in Broad City. Like they frequently get insulted for being Jewish, and it's like, do people have some kind of sixth sense that I just don't have? Like I don't know.
It's like
I've
a
never
thing.
looked at
I think
someone and been
it's
like,
a
they're
thing.
Jewish.
It's a thing in New York specifically because like I've watched a lot of like New York based specifically comedy over the years, and like Jewishness and like Judaism seems to come up a lot around like New York people.
I
It's
mean,
like a
you would know
heavy
better than
Jewish
me.
presence.
Yeah.
I guess like people are, I mean, like you'll literally, and like this happened to me when I was in New York City, and like I saw it on TV, and then it happened to me when I was physically in New York City, and I was like, oh holy shit, like they weren't kidding about that. But like you see like rabbis on the subway all the time, like
Oh, okay.
with the like the wide brimmed hats and the two curls
Yeah, like the
hanging
really
down the
Hasidic
side of
Jews and
each
stuff.
head,
Yeah.
yeah, with like the black suit on.
Mhm.
Like that's they're like they're just like out and about in New York City. I can't think of
That's
another
rad though.
like world class city where you can just like see someone and like know that they're Jewish. You know, it's like seeing like a Sikh person with their head wrap on, or like um a Muslim person with a head covering on of some kind. It's like I don't see a lot of Jewish people
Mhm.
wearing religious garb in anywhere else but New York.
Right,
So
right, right.
them being two like Jewish women on Broad City,
Yeah.
I guess they bring that up a lot. I guess.
And I think that's great. Don't get me wrong. I don't think the anti-Semitism is great, but I'm glad that they're
No, of
sharing their
course not.
experiences. You know, like
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah,
it's
yeah,
important.
yeah, for
Real
sure.
quick, is that how you pronounce? First, I always thought that it was pronounced Sikh. Is it sick? Sikh?
Uh, I read somewhere that it was pronounced sick.
I mean, I
Um,
believe you. I fucking went to Catholic school. All my information about religion is terrible.
I will
Like,
admit, I read it in a Twitter thread, which is not as much as Twitter likes to think they're the deciding factor of all. They are not.
yeah,
It's
they are
not.
not. Yes,
They are
very
not a
much not.
peer-reviewed source by any means at all. But I did read a Twitter thread about non-English words, phrases, titles, you know, formalities, etc., that people tend to pronounce wrong, and sick was
Right.
one of them. And someone literally wrote like it's pronounced sick, not seek.
Okay. Well,
I
then
didn't read. I didn't, in typical
yeah.
millennial fashion, I didn't read too much farther into it. I was just like, oh, well, this person took the time to write a whole thread about it, so maybe they know what they're talking about, which doesn't mean
Yeah.
that they know what they're talking about. But I did read somewhere in a thread about mispronouncing things that is pronounced sick and
Well,
not
I
seek,
I
but I
learned
don't know.
something new today then, because at the
Yeah.
same time, because the last thing I want to do, and I'm really conscious of this as a white Christian, someone who's raised to be Christian,
Yeah.
um, is to like I really am interested in other cultures and religions and stuff, and like I know the information is out there, and yes, it's on me to do the learning, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
acknowledging that no one has to
Mm-hmm.
teach me. Like I'm not trying to say that, but pronunciation is really important to me, especially when it
Yeah.
comes to other cultures and especially other languages.
Yeah.
So if it is
Yeah.
pronounced sick, I'm gonna look into that, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna correct that about myself.
I should take the time and like literally Google that. It's gonna take 2 seconds. I know it, and just like
Mm.
make sure that I'm not making an
I
ass of
mean,
myself.
I could do this right now.
All right, let's learn on
All right,
Chill
well,
Spot
just a sec.
today.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Lesson number one.
Cool. But yeah, no, I totally feel you on the pronouncing names properly. Like I said earlier, my dad is in broadcasting. He specifically, when I was a kid, he really wanted to be in sports broadcasting, and there's a lot of different types of names in sports. Like his thing was hockey, and there's a lot of like Eastern European last names in hockey.
Right.
And he always emphasized to me, like, if you're gonna interview somebody, like, know how to say their fucking name. Like, take the time and like give half a shit, and look it up. Like, look up the pronunciation, or ask somebody on their team, their agent, their manager, whatever. Or if you get to the interview and you still don't know for sure, just before you go on air, just say like, hey, by the way, like, how do you pronounce your last name? And they'll be like, oh, it's like this. And that really, it really does mean a lot to people to get their names and honorifics and, you know, like important cultural titles correct to them.
Yeah,
It really does make all the difference. And I've
of course.
internalized that since I was a kid. I really internalized that and really, really tried to pronounce things right. It's also not hard. Like people say that, I mean, like anybody who has a difficult to pronounce name has a story about someone who's just been like, I'm not even gonna try and say this properly, and then they're
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
how do
yeah.
you
I
say
hate that.
this? And then it's like a whole thing where someone has to be like, oh, it's pronounced like this. Um and you know, I can tell when someone's been through that a lot, because when I pronounce something correctly, they kind of go, oh yeah, that, no, you got it, like like they're taken aback by it a little bit. And it just goes to show you how much giving a shit makes, like, it really means the world to people. And it's so, like, it's a barrier that so many people don't even think is there. um but when you take it really seriously and take the time to learn how to say somebody's name or honorifics correctly,
It
um
makes such a difference.
there it makes such a difference. It affects your relationship, the whole relationship. I have had entire, you know, meetings, like first introductions, go way smoother, and we get so acquainted so much faster because I bothered to say their name correctly. Or like, you know, things like, okay, like rolling R's is a thing that we don't do in English. We don't roll
Mm,
our R's for any
yeah,
reason. So
I
whenever
actually can't do that.
I encounter something where like rolling an R is necessary in another language and I actually do it, it makes all the difference. It makes it sound so much better. And then someone hears this like native English speaker like actually try to pronounce it the way that it would be pronounced had I spoken their language. Um, it's so much better than when you just try and, like, you know, like, I'm trying to think
Yeah.
of if I say like bruschetta to an Italian person, they're gonna
Mhm.
be like, oh yeah, wow, you know, they're gonna be happy that I broke my
Yeah, yeah,
English
exactly.
language patterns. Or like, I've had it pointed out to me multiple times that it's pronounced Muslim, not Muslim.
Yeah,
To
Muslim.
not to use a soft S and not a hard S. And
Mhm.
that makes a difference to people when they hear me say Muslim instead of Muslim. It makes a
Yeah.
difference, you know. They say like, oh,
Yeah.
this person, especially because Islam is in a post 9/11 world. Islam has not been doing well in
No.
our society as of late.
No.
So if you if an Islamic person who practices like Islam, like the religion, hears you say Muslim, they're gonna say like, oh, this person gives a shit, you know, about
Yeah.
pronouncing my religion and, like, you know, cultural
Right.
words properly. And that breaks down a
Yeah,
barrier a lot faster,
exactly.
so much faster. It's
I
crazy.
I
It's
think
crazy how something so simple makes
mhm.
entire interactions go way better.
Yeah, I mean, I think that like I have a lot of this is a hot button issue or topic with my friend group. There's lots of people I know who think that like pronouncing things the way I would describe as correctly is kind of
Yeah.
like a douchey thing. But
Yeah.
I keep telling them like there's a difference, right? There's a difference
Mhm.
between pronouncing the word bruschetta correctly,
Mhm.
and there's a but you know, like I just said, saying bruschetta
Mhm.
or saying, "Ooh, I'm gonna get some bruschetta, get some nice parmigiana
Yeah.
on the bruschetta." Like,
And
yeah,
the
you're an
farfalla and
asshole.
it's like, okay, you're just
It's like, yeah,
trying to
you're an
say
asshole if you say that. Like,
you're trying to prove to me that you're cultured by just saying any old non-English word that
but, but,
comes
but
to your mind.
the point is about the pronunciation. It's like, yes, pronouncing things correctly doesn't mean pronouncing them like an asshole. You can just
Mhm.
say bruschetta. That's how you pronounce it.
Yeah.
You roll the R's slightly, and
Yeah.
then you're not supposed to say bruschetta. You
Yeah.
know, you have to make the
Yeah.
k because
The hard
it's an Italian
ch.
word, so you know
Yeah.
it's got the ch.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, we're talking about sick.
Yeah.
So this is kind of weird.
Okay.
The Cambridge Dictionary says it's pronounced seek, and then Google, oh, let me finish. And Google has a thing like, you know, when you how to pronounce, it'll have like the
Yeah.
button you can press it.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
it also says it's pronounced seek,
Okay.
but then I went onto this website called spokesman.com, which is a blog, by the way.
Okay. Okay.
It says below is the official statement received from the Secretary General of the World Sikh Council American region. And
Yeah.
then apparently it's a quote that says, "Thank you for your inquiry. The pronunciation of the word Sikh is as follows: Sikh pronounced as sick, spelled Sick,
CK.
and then six pronounced as six, as in like the plural of the word sick is pronounced six.
Okay.
So, I mean, again, I don't know who the fuck this spokesman person is, and I don't know about his blog, and there doesn't appear to be any sources here. So, I don't know. But there are two. Like, here's
but
what I'm grappling with, right?
considering the fact that this blog seems to like reached out to someone from the sick community, makes me want to believe that.
But what's getting me is like, first of all, there's no name provided of this person who is the Secretary General.
Okay.
It's from 2012.
Okay.
And like literally, Sam, like here, like I'll pick up the camera. If you can, hang on. Bear with me, folks.
And turn me around.
So you see, this is the entire fucking website, and Sam can say that like there's
it's just here. Like it's like one page, yeah.
It's one page.
There's not even a paragraph.
No. So I don't know. I actually have no idea because I don't know any. I'm gonna keep saying sick because that seems to be correct, but at the same time, I hate to say this, two more actually official quoted sources say that it's Sikh, but then sick people are telling me, from what I understand, that it's pronounced sick. So I'm going to listen to the people.
We don't have a name for that sick person to like properly do our due diligence and fact check it. Like so I'll tell you where my mind's been going for this whole thing. You say that the Cambridge Dictionary says that the pronunciation is Sikh. Well,
that's right.
Cambridge is UK based. It's British people. I don't trust a British person to tell me how to pronounce anything outside of Britain at all, or the UK ever. I do not.
That's true.
Google also probably pulled from that. That's probably where Google pulled its pronunciation from as well. So I'm suspicious of Google. Let me just finish the train of thought here. So like, you said that this representative from this like sick institution says that it's pronounced sick. And I'm like, okay, cool. But then like, just to do my due diligence, I want to like look up that person's name and make sure that they're like still with the institution, that they didn't, I don't know, like do something wrong. They didn't get Me Too'd or anything like that.
They're like secretly a white person.
Exactly. Yeah. They're not some fucking, what's her face? Goddamn Rachel Dolezal motherfucker out here who's not actually a sick person who's been masquerading as such for a while.
Yeah.
You know, like I need a name so I can just do my due diligence. But like that sounds super official. I would rather trust someone who works at a institution for preserving Sikh culture than the Cambridge Dictionary, you know? Like I'm not going to trust a colonizer's dictionary. I simply won't, you know?
That's a good point. That's a good point.
That's like saying, oh yeah, I know everything about Indigenous culture. I read the Canadian history textbook that I was given in grade 10.
Yeah. I went on that nice tour of that little museum in Nova Scotia when they were like, yeah, it was really nice and they all held hands and they gave us fur and we gave them stuff. Yeah. And then nothing bad happened. Happened.
That was a needlework museum. So like, you know, not really trying to take that as gospel.
So real quick though, we are nearing the end of today's episode of the podcast, but I really want to talk to you about Avatar. Now that you finished it.
Oh my God, dude.
So I gotta say, Sam, I asked you this question before, but I want it to be chronicled.
Yeah.
Do you understand the hype?
Oh, absolutely. I absolutely understand. Everybody was completely correct. I mean, okay, so like I don't have like a childhood attachment to Avatar, so I'm not like you. I'm not gonna go out. I also am dating you, and you have the Blu-ray collection, so I'm not gonna go out and buy it for that reason as well. I really, really like Avatar. I really do. I'm probably not going to rewatch it the same way I rewatch fucking Lizzie McGuire or like other shows that I watched when I was a kid because I don't have that like nostalgia for it. But it's definitely one of the best shows. Like it's up 100%. It's top tier TV. It's top tier TV. It's well written. There's excellent representation. Something that I really love about the show is how they represent I don't want to say the disabled community because, well, I guess that's
how they refer to themselves. Yeah, it's fine.
They have, you know, like people in wheelchairs who fucking do stuff. Like they're not, who are, you know, and really they don't need help from everybody. And nobody is like, so how are we gonna have like a battle in the air if this kid is in a wheelchair? It's never a question. It's just like, oh, so the person in the wheelchair knows how to fucking live their life in a wheelchair? Okay, well then, like, help us out. You know, it's never a
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
Um,
Or
no
tough.
one for a second was ever like, I don't know about bringing this blind girl around with us. Like, I don't know if she can really. No, she fucking, like, not that she really needed to prove herself, but she could fucking handle herself. You know, like,
She's one of the strongest members of the group,
they
easily.
never needed to babysit Toph. They never needed to look after. I forget the name, unfortunately, of the
The
Earth,
wheelchair.
the Earth,
No, it was the air
wheelchair kid.
nomads.
The
They
air
lived in the
nomads.
air
Thank
temple.
you. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I forgot if they were actual, like, airbenders, or if
No,
they were just
they
Earth
inhabited the
Kingdom
temple.
people who inhabited the temple. Okay.
That is what happened. And then, well, it's a whole episode when Aang shows up to the temple
Yeah.
and they're there,
Yeah.
and he's kind of like, well, what the fuck are you doing here?
What have you
Like,
done to my culture? Yeah.
you guys can't be here. You know, like
Yeah.
this is like
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
important.
Yeah, and he thinks
Oh
that
my
they're,
god,
like, bastardizing his entire culture, which is another thing that I love about the show. It's just the sheer number of, just the sheer amount
cultures.
of ground that they covered as far as, like,
Yeah,
representation in other cultures go. Um, because, like, so I started watching Avatar before they put it back on American Netflix, and all of the memes started popping up again.
yeah.
So I was kind of far ahead, and then the memes started popping up, and the discourse started showing up about some of the different Asian cultures that they pulled from for inspiration, and how they did it accurately and with respect. And I was like, damn, they covered a lot of different cultures in
So
Avatar: The
good.
Last Airbender, and none of it felt performative, and none of it felt, like, shoved, like, wedged in there, like, really wedged in there. And this show existed before we were really talking about this sort of stuff. And I
Yep.
just, like, I'm so impressed. I'm so impressed. I really am.
So fucking good, Sam.
And
Like it's
I
one of my
love how
favorite
I love
shows.
how they handled the characters as children the entire time. Their
Mm-hmm.
behaviors were sensical for what they were going through at the age that they were going through it.
It's
I was
never
so
frustrating.
impressed.
Yeah.
I was so
It's all
impressed. I mean, like,
it's
it is frustrating. Like, some of the shit that Aang pulled, I was like, oh my god, can you just, like, get it
yeah.
together?
But he's 11. He's fucking 11. Like
Yeah.
he's so
Well,
young.
okay, listen. Like, yes, that's a valid, a lot of the times that's a valid reason. But he still, these were things that an 11-year-old has to learn, and I'm
And
glad
he
that
does
at
learn
least
them. It just
yeah, I'm glad that at least he learns at the end of every episode. Like the one part that made me kind of uneasy was when Aang finally tells Katara how he feels about her, and she's like, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about you back. And he's like, well, why can't you tell me? And I was like, oh
right.
my fucking god, is this the moment? Is this the moment where, like, it's been so good up until this point, or is this going to be a problem? But then he learned, and I think the message did get across that you really can't push these kinds of things.
Exactly.
And how you sort of deal with unrequited love, because that is the age where you start getting little crushes on people, and everything that you've experienced as a kid up until that point is, like, requited love. It's the person is in love with you back, so you think that if you tell somebody that you like them, they're going to like you back, and you're going to skip off into the sunset.
Of course.
And then you get pissed when that doesn't happen right away. And how do you handle that? So when he was getting frustrated with Katara and, like, trying to kiss her and stuff, that was the thing that really kind of, like, made me want to just, like, be like, oh, pull the brakes on this, was when he was, like, trying to kiss her and shit. And I was like, no touchy, boundaries. Ooh, stop. But I think the writing took care of that really well.
Yeah.
She,
They
like,
handled that
Katara stood up for
appropriately.
herself, and, like, there wasn't any bullshit where Aang, like, storms off and, like, complains to Toph, and Toph is like, well, you should be happy that the Avatar is in love with you, and, like, there was none of that shit. There was none of that.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I was happy with that.
Yeah, because the people who Aaron S has and the other creator of Avatar, whose name I unfortunately
Giancarlo Volpe.
Yes, I think so. I don't know. Unfortunately, I don't know off the top of my head, but
Yeah.
they're a big part of them creating shows, and you see this again in the Dragon Prince, which is their follow-up show. Is all about representation and teaching good lessons, and also, but, like, in all of this, in all of the good, warm, fuzzy feelings, having something that you could describe as a seriously concrete, awesome, tight story. You know what I mean? Like, that my favorite part about Avatar is the way it's written, and it's so brilliant, is that the messages and the lessons learned don't come at the expense of the narrative. And that is so hard. That is such a hard balance to strike, especially for young adult television, and especially in animation.
Yeah, when you're trying to tell it to kids, it's really difficult. But I felt like the writers had nothing but respect for their audience the entire time.
Oh yeah. Oh
And
Sam, I have one
yeah.
more question, but go on.
I really, no, I mean, that's it. Like, one of my biggest gripes when I was a kid was adults who feel like they have to constantly talk down to kids. And
Yeah.
every adult that I've ever respected in my life is an adult who spoke to me like I was a person. And I feel like
Mm-hmm.
this show is just full. The entire team, every single person who touched that show was an adult who understood that you can talk to kids like people and it's okay,
Exactly.
and that kids are smart, and they really do believe that kids are smart. And I loved that when I was a kid, and it's something that I've carried into adulthood, and I really fucking respect anybody who can do it, because um it's very
It's
easy to
so
think
hard.
that, to look back and forget. And this kind of ties into what we were talking about earlier with, like, how you view generations that are younger than you. It's so easy to forget as you get older, to look back and think about, and like put yourself in a young person's shoes, because we're so obsessed with just where we are right now in our age. Like,
Yeah.
I only care about what other 26-year-olds care about right now, like deep down.
Yeah.
um and it's so easy to get caught up in the issues that come with being 26, that you forget. And in doing so, you look back and you think, well, like, being 14 is fucking easy, being 11 is fucking easy, being 26
Right.
is the real problem. Or 45 or 52 or 67. You're like, oh well, like, these are real problems, these are real problems, these are real problems. Like, your problems aren't problems. And I hate that shit. And I just feel like
Mm-hmm.
everybody who worked on Avatar is not one of those people, and I really,
Yeah.
really respect that a lot.
So good. Just so much
Yeah.
respect. But I want to
Yeah.
ask you, did you cry when Zuko was apologizing to Iroh and Iroh
Yo,
just grabs
yo,
him and hugs him,
yo, yo.
like, in
I mean,
total
like, I've
forgiveness?
already said how much I love Iroh. So, like,
Yeah.
I was waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, for, like, the Iroh and Zuko reunion when it finally happened.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, Zuko spent the entire time just going, like, you know, he was the only person in my family who cared about me other than my mother, since she left. And I let him down. And I don't think he'll ever forgive me, and I don't think I can blame him if he never forgives me again.
Yep.
And then and I
And then
knew,
it
because,
totally
like,
does.
I totally know and understand Iroh's character. That's why I love him so much. And I knew that the
Mm-hmm.
reunion was going to be beautiful. And then, of course, it happened, and I fucking cried. Of course I
Well,
cried. Of course I
I,
cried.
I don't remember. I actually, every now and then I get into moods where I want to make myself cry. It's kind of weird to say, but that's one
Mm-hmm.
of the clips that I watch if I want to, like,
To
feel
make yourself
emotions or
cry.
remind myself that I'm a person.
Yeah.
Well, because I love that quote, and unfortunately I'm going to probably misquote it, but something along the lines of, like, Iroh says he wasn't mad that he betrayed him or whatever. He was worried that he lost his way. And, like,
Yeah.
just now, like, I'm fucking welling up thinking about it. Like, the
Yeah.
unconditional love of a parental figure to
Mm-hmm.
go as far as to say, like, yes, you made lots of mistakes, but at the end of the day, you're here and you're apologizing, and I'm still here and I love you. And, like, oh, what a
Yeah.
beautiful thing.
And also, just, like, as an adult, like, as somebody who, like, and, like, I've said this before, like, I'm at a point in my life, especially since I still live with my mom, and I'm so old. Um I'm at a point in my life where, like, I'm starting to understand what parents and guardians go through when they're raising a child. And
Totally.
I can see where you want your kid to do well. You want them to learn the important lessons in life that they need to learn, so that when they get out into the world, they can be okay. And you kind of want to just, like, you kind of want to incubate them, so that when they come out into the world, they're like, I know how to get not taken advantage of by adults, and I know how to not make these mistakes. But you simply cannot do that. And a
No,
lot
yeah.
of a lot of parents and guardians clash with their children, because they're trying to prevent them from making mistakes before they can get out there and make mistakes. But sometimes you have to literally make the mistake. That's a part of life, and you have to live, and you have to do it. And something I love about Iroh is that he's been through so much. He has
Mm-hmm.
literally lost a child. Okay, like, that trauma is enough to make it completely understandable if Iroh wanted to just like put Zuko away in a tower and just like keep him out of trouble forever. But he has, and this is what I think makes him such a strong person, is that he doesn't let his personal shit get in the way of Zuko's growth. And he 100% nurtures it the whole way through. And I don't think that kids understand, and I don't mean this in a like kids don't understand, like you simply you don't have the foresight sense. You don't have the foresight at like 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, even 18 to know just how good of an adult Iroh is, that he did that, you know? And that's why I ride so hard for Iroh so hard. The fact that
the best character for sure.
He experienced such a loss and then found sort of like redemption and kinship and fatherhood in spending time with Zuko, in being, you know, banished with Zuko. It would be so easy to write Iroh as somebody who simply doesn't want to lose Zuko the way that he lost his son. But he never does that. He never holds him back. He never tries to incubate him. He never tries to, you know,
he lets him
stop
go his
him. Way. He is so okay with just letting him go his own way and learn. He understands that Zuko needs to learn. And sometimes the only way that he can learn is to let him go. So when Zuko, you know, separates from him on their journey, you know, he doesn't hold it against him. He doesn't, you know, and that's just so major. And I really, really hope that every kid who watches Avatar, watched it back then, is watching it now, sees Iroh and knows that that's what a healthy relationship, or even if you're with an adult, you know, should be.
Lesson number 1 for today is going to be that, like, whether you're a fucking teenager, a kid, or even an adult, watch Avatar: The Last Airbender, because you'll enjoy it. Do you like graphic novels or comic books? Then you'll probably enjoy Avatar: The Last Airbender. Like, you know, just give it a watch. You won't regret it.
It also is just like it's a great adventure show, you know, like it's, you know, kids going out having an adventure, and it's cool for that too. But I just can't believe how well written the adults and the children are in that fucking show, and like how well written the relationships between them are. All the different kinds of adults that because there are some shitty adults in Avatar: The Last Airbender. Obviously,
there needs to be. Obviously,
obviously they're the villains, but
gotta have conflict.
But it's really cool, and I totally get it, and it's funny, and it's cute, and it's wholesome, and it's, you know, it's unproblematic. Like, yeah, dude. I really liked Avatar. I really liked it. I'm glad that I watched it. I am.
We stand for the gang.
Yeah. It's also one of those shows where it's like, now that I've watched it, I understand so many more memes now.
All right.
So I'm there's so much FOMO that went away because I've seen Avatar: The Last Airbender now, and I didn't even know it.
It's funny how Avatar is like shockingly this pervasive too, right? Because there are other memes that will make references to Avatar that aren't like straight up Avatar memes.
Yeah.
And like, if you watch the show, you get it. I can't think of any examples, of course, but it's one of those, you know, like, it's just like, it's crazy that once you watch, it's like watching The Office for the first time. Like, oh, now I get the internet.
I even clued in. I was listening to, I think, Sumo by Denzel Curry the other day, and he makes a reference to Zuko in that. And like, before I'd seen Avatar, I thought he was referencing Greece. And now I know that he's not. So
yeah, dude,
I'm in the loop. I'm in the loop in that sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so, and I love it. I love how much you're loving Broad City too.
Broad City is awesome.
Yeah.
You know, I'll be honest with you, I've been really slow on it. I haven't been watching a lot of TV because I've been I'm getting, for those who don't know, I haven't really talked about it much on the channel, but I used to be really into drawing and visual art. So I've been trying to get back reconnected with that, taking some art lessons. And as a result, I've been watching a lot of anime again. For the first time in like 4 years, I'm watching like 4 animes, just like in my spare time. And it's been really nice to kind of feel like I'm back in that creative headspace. So I do apologize. I've been watching as much Broad City as I could be watching.
No, that's okay. I've been watching. I ever since I finished Avatar, I was like, cool, I should go to the next thing on Cam's list. And then my brain was like, do you mean watch Curb Your Enthusiasm? And I was like, you're right, that is what I meant.
That's a real Curb moment. You're like, I'm gonna watch this, and then like before you know it, it's just like you're watching Curb and the cam's panning out and yeah. So it's okay. Like, how about this? A rule of thumb is that when I finish Broad City, then we can both
Then I
move
can
on
start the next show.
to other lists,
There you
other
go.
shows on the list. Yeah.
There you go. I think
Take
I'm
the
gonna
take the
watch
pressure
Steven
off.
Universe next. I think that's what I'm
Ooh,
gonna
that's
do.
a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. There'll be lots of podcast episodes
Yeah,
where we
it's
talk about
time.
Steven fucking Universe, man.
That's another show where I'm sick of being out of the loop and I just want to get in the loop. If anything, I mean, I'm sure it's a good show and I'm gonna like it, but I also just want to be in the fucking loop. I want to understand.
It's crazy, man. Like,
Yeah.
we'll do the last two lessons in a second here, but I recently rewatched Stevie New because it finished. They
Yeah.
finished off, and the show is done. So I recently watched the entire series from start to finish again a couple months ago, back when quarantine first started. And something I remember about that show is like Avatar, the first season is very much like episode to episode, characters fighting monsters, like going on little mini adventures. And then like as time goes on, it becomes this more cohesive, long arching narratives and character arcs and lore and all this other shit. But something I didn't realize is how soon that starts in Steven Universe. I thought it started way later.
Okay.
So there's actually like a far smaller waiting period of
considering how fucking long it took Aang to take defeating the Fire Lord seriously, I'm down for something that's like right from the jump. We have a goal that we gotta hit. So that's my one gripe with Avatar is that they were like, we have so little time and you need to learn all of the bending techniques and we really don't have a lot of time but we're gonna fuck around in Ba Sing Se for 3 episodes. So
for a whole season.
I'm like, don't you have to learn? Like you have 2 out of the 3 benders that you need to learn from in your party right now. Why am I not seeing more training? Oh my god, Sozin's Comet is like in view, Aang. Holy shit.
But, like, get your S together, dog. You 11-year-old.
That I think there could have been a couple more episodes where Aang like really takes his training seriously, because I was like, when are you gonna realize that you have to like save the entire world in like 2 weeks, buddy?
Well, yeah, it's lucky that last Avatar comment, but it's lucky that Aang is such a talented bender, because I think that's what they lean on a lot.
Oh,
that he doesn't
absolutely.
have to do. He doesn't have to do a lot of training because bending is really natural to him.
Yeah.
But so lesson number 1 is going to be to go watch Avatar: Last Airbender. It's on Netflix and it's 3 seasons and it's so good, guys. It's so good. But what's another lesson for today, Sam?
Another lesson for today is relish in like where you're at right now, but don't be so don't put on your horse blinders and never look back and think about what the people younger than you are going through right now.
I like
and
that
older
lesson.
too, older as well, but especially younger.
True.
I feel like we spend a lot of time saying like, you need to learn from your elders, you should learn from your elders, respect your elders. There's like a bit of that still like threaded through our society, but I think it's worthwhile to say like, also respect your youngsters.
Totally.
I couldn't think of a better name. There's elders, and I don't know what the elders version of young people is. Like people who are
just
younger than you.
Youngsters. I call young people youngsters sometimes.
Yeah, but
because I'm an old man.
Don't be afraid to look back either, because younger generations have a fresh perspective, I find often, and it's interesting to learn from them. I want to talk to the teenagers that I work with at the store so badly, but that's why I embarrassed myself talking about fucking TikTok influencers, because I was trying to break the ice and it didn't. I tried too hard and it didn't work. But I really I'm really interested in what teenagers right now are feeling, especially because they're carrying society in so many ways. Culturally, economically, socially, they're setting the tone, and it's just fascinating to me. So don't be so prideful as to never look back.
Exactly. No harm in looking up or down, back, forward, yada yada, this and that. You can learn anything from anyone,
from anybody. At any age. Never.
Lesson number 3 is to follow us at twitch.tv/chillspot, and because we stream now. And we don't have a
bang up time streaming.
Having a lot of fun streaming. Like we didn't really talk about streaming much this podcast, but it's been nothing but a positive experience, and we've made some cool people, and the community that we're building is really, really nice. And chat with us in the chat if you want, or lurk and just watch and listen. And we don't stream the same nights every week, but if you follow us on Instagram or Twitter, you can see both of those updates come as they go is the best way to stay updated. But like always, folks, you can always find us.
Sorry. Bonus lesson number 4 is like, if you're listening and you've been listening for a while, thank you for supporting us over the last year.
Yes, yeah.
This has been so fun and so rewarding, and I cannot like big ups to the strangers who have become friends along the way, but also like big fucking up to everybody that we know. Like,
yeah,
I guess
showing
that's like
tons of support.
That's like the other thing that really blew my mind when we started this channel, is just how much support our family and friends and even like acquaintances, fucking like former high school classmates listen to my show. Like, that means the world to me. I don't think anybody outside of my squad gave a shit about me after I left high school, and it's been really cool to talk to a couple of people that I went to high school with who like listen to my podcast. That I record in mine and my boyfriend's parents' basement. So thank you so much. As someone who, you know, doesn't think that people think about her a lot, it means the world that you gave a shit,
that we're
tuned in, interact with us on any platform here, Twitch, Instagram, Twitter, whatever, that you support, that you tell your friends, that you listen and actually like talk to us and about what you heard and want to like talk to us about the topics that we covered, makes me feel so good.
Absolutely.
Like
Absolutely.
I mean, like, just that alone, I've carried that with me. And it's taught me that people really do care about me a lot more than I give them credit for. So thank you for that lesson.
Absolutely. Yeah. A lesson that we learned this year is that, you know?
Yeah.
And here's the 1 year Chill Spot.
Yeah.
And many more to come.
Absolutely.
We still early on this journey, folks.
We got big plans.
But like always, folks, you can find us wherever you listen to podcasts, be it Spotify, Google Play, Apple Podcast, YouTube, the radio, CDs, cassette tapes,
laser
vinyls,
8-track,
laser discs, HD DVDs,
vinyl.
Blu-rays,
You said vinyl already.
PlayStation 4 games,
gramophone,
Xbox One, Game Pass.
and MIDI
to?
soundboard setup.